The following is a presentation of TFNN. Time to talk about your health. Living a primal lifestyle.
We have Mike from Chicago on the line, and he has a question about digestion.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, guys. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
First of all, I just wanted to say that I love the show. I think it's great programming, and I'm very much of a like mind when it comes to, taking control of your own health and certainly doing your own research.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now your hosts, Nico and Haan and Paige Clarke.
Happy Friday, and welcome to Living a Primal Lifestyle, where we analyze and deconstruct, actually, the latest news pertaining to your health, fitness, and diet, where we break down what we hear and what we read, and we see if it makes kind of sense to us. And we encourage, of course, your participation.
And we encourage you to do the same when you see things. Just because we see something in the press may or may not make sense. And we have to kind of take back our health. And that's why I like to say health and healing empowerment is something that we all do ourselves.
Yeah. And the number here is 877-927-6648. And please take time to look at our beautiful Health Signals newsletter. And
new one next week, right?
Next week, a brand new one. I'm just getting to it right now, and got a lot of great stuff in there. What I wanted to talk about in the beginning here was, I really wanted to define what domestication is.
Mm-hmm. Of animals we're talking about?
Well, no, I think we're really talking about the whole thing.
The whole world.
Yeah, because I think
us.
Well, we are domesticated. Mm-hmm. We're not the same. And really, when you think about domestication, what makes an animal domesticated?
Human intervention, I think, and control in terms of
how do we control that animal?
Usually by confinement and what we feed them.
Those two things, confinement and feeding it.
And that's kind of what's happening to us.
Well, no doubt about it.
And we have
because the greatest story we're ever told is that we move into the city, and we're taken care of, and we behave certain ways. I mean, we're
fed certain foods.
Yeah, we're fed certain foods, but we're kept there definitely by the food, but we're also fed there by the philosophy of what's going on in our whole small community, but the larger community in the world as we see it today is much different than if we go back 30,000 years, and we know that probably for 200,000 years we were raised, brought up, and fed from a wild environment. Okay.
And that just, when you're saying this, I'm thinking of Dr. Pottinger's rich work, with the cats.
Yeah.
And the difference in the domestic cats being fed, processed food versus raw food.
Right, and the change made when he changes the food, all of a sudden that little kitten changes in many ways.
Doesn't have the right jaw structure.
Right.
So the epigenetic effect of food, food being an epigenetic factor.
So what is domestication? Domestication is when humans take a plant or animal species, through selective breeding, transform the species into something beneficial for humans. Historically, there have been three major reasons why humans domesticate. The first is to create a ready source of food. Mm-hmm. Scary when you think we're domesticated, but that's Soylent Green, I guess. Such as taking the wild ancestors of cows and turning them into cattle, which really happened many, many years ago. The last wild cow, historically, was in the 1600s.
When you said that, I just had a vision of when you go to some countries in Europe or other places in the world where the cows are up grazing on the mountain. You can put that next to an American cow, a domesticated American cow in the traditional American farming, and they look like a different animal.
Yeah, in fact, if you see a picture of a wild ancestor of the cow, it doesn't look anything like any of the species of cows that we have that have all been changed. Even a wild yak, doesn't look like domesticated yak, although they're treated a little bit different. They're not really yak. I don't know if they're really eating yaks.
On the break, we should try and see if we can find a picture.
Pick up a yak?
Pick up a picture of a wild cow. When you said that, all of a sudden, when you said
well, they're much more like a buffalo. They're much more up front.
More up front, and then yet lean in the hips. Notice they don't get that central obesity thing going on.
Yeah. Exactly. So, and of course, why did we start practicing domestication? Probably a shortage of food might have been the first thing. But also, we domesticate for other reasons besides food. We also use animals for work.
Right.
But probably not before agriculture. See, I want to make the common denomination here is that the food really changes everything. When you domesticate an animal, and like a cat, the cat's there because the food's there. You take the food away, the cat's going to find something else.
He's going to go hunting.
Yeah, a dog may stick around a lot longer.
Right.
I think dogs are not quite as smart that way. They're less wild in that sense.
Right, again.
But dogs are pack animals, whereas cats are less pack animals.
Right.
A lot of them are solitary.
Right,
animals.
more predator on their own.
Well, they're both predators. Both predators, and highly advanced predators, for sure, at the top of the chain. And we've noticed a lot of changes, for the wolves. I think we spoke of this a little bit in the last couple of weeks, where the wolves have changed the fauna in Yellowstone. Because now the kill zones become these great little gardens of everything growing in it, because the kill zone is all the nutrients is going back in the soil. And that's really a problem with some of the farming and stuff that we do, because we have lots of runoff. We're using artificial things, and now these nutrients don't stay in the soil because the soil is weak, so then it runs off, and like Lake Erie's having that huge bloom now.
Right.
These poisonous blooms are because it's overstimulating that water, so the algae grows.
Well, nature seems to know how to balance chemistry a lot better
In
than
a
we
wild
do.
environment, it does. And if there's any thing that comes in and interferes with that, the wild quickly takes it back over again.
This kind of goes to what we've been talking about nutrition, and what inspired us to really work on Primal Edge. Was to give people an edge on their health by way of trying to create an environment where you get all of the nutritional components that you would get if you were in a wild environment in a prehistoric time. And if people have $100 in their bank account, and they take out 20, but they only put 3 back in, they're going to be broke pretty soon. And that's what we've done to our soils.
That's exactly right. And of course, we've done that to the mammals. Now we have been starting to do that with the fish also. And there's a lot of farming fish, and right now about 40% of the fish that's being eaten in the United States is farmed. And they're using inventive methods. I got to give them credit. There's a lot of good farming going out there, because they're feeding them with other fish too. Like if you're getting salmon eat other fish, so they're going to go after that kind of sea life. So they're doing that, but they've also found a conundrum in the sense that it takes twice as many fish to feed 2 pounds of fish feed to get 1 pound of fish. It's not as economical because you don't have the chain of command sort of in the structure, because you're eliminating the top predators, you're eliminating, and sometimes it's just the top predators that you have, but you eliminate all the little stages. We have the mussels that are cleaning up the floor, and the shrimp, and there's all these little animals, and the plankton, and everything's eating everything else and cleaning itself. In a farmed environment, we're cleaning it.
Right.
It's a lot of hard work, and we don't know how to do these things because we don't see the whole spectrum.
Right, so just, I think a little bit about the wild environment of, say, a cow. Obviously, they're going to be the healthier version because the natural inclination.
Sure, we think grass-fed beef right now is the most outstanding thing there is, when probably a wild version of that would be much better for us.
Meaning that the cow eats them, but then it goes into the forest and snubs down because there's no grass.
Well, it's also a herding animal that runs and is athletic. I mean, if you take a wild animal, it looks like an athlete. When you take a domesticated animal, it looks like the average American, almost. They're fatter. They have more fat on them. They have the worst kind of fat on them because the omega-6 is what really makes you fat. The omega-3 kind of makes you thin.
The wrong kinds of omega-6.
Exactly.
So that was thinking about like what Dr. Wallach, dead doctors don't lie, said, in livestock, because he basically is a veterinarian and farmer, and they raised cattle, and he said, we figured it out a long time ago, or else we weren't going to have any money. The domesticated animals were going to die because they weren't getting the nutrition that the wild animals were getting. But what the farmer does, because he can't afford to lose a cow, is he supplements them with good nutrition and then 90 essential nutrients. That's his whole premise for his solutions. So, that's kind of what we have to do. In light of the fact that we can't completely go wild, which I think would be a great idea. I'd love to.
Well, I think it would be. And, with technology, I think it's much easier now to do that. And I think if we're going to be healthy human beings, I think that's what we really have to figure out. We have to figure out how to live wild yet modern. Yeah. And I think that's, take the best of the both. And I think that's kind of what I'm looking at. Today, let's look at vegetables, Or let's look at greens. What is the last remaining food that we eat that's really wild? What is it?
The greens.
Well, the herbs,
The herbs,
especially.
yeah, exactly. Well, because they're kind of, believe it or not, we've got all these
Because we still go in the wild to get them.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of people that in Florida, put in turf grass, like Flortam, and when you think about it, it's a completely, non-native type of grass, and yet natively, if you look at a Florida lawn, it has all kinds of dandelions and different little lemon balm, little herbs that are actually medicine. And
it's illegal to grow that in your front yard.
But people round that up because that's not the lawn, and then they plant the sod, and then
those are those little compartments of being domesticated that society tells us this is how it has to be. We don't want that wild. I mean, the worst thing that we can do is, of course, is take our clothes off and be free in public. Then you'll be arrested. I mean, there's all kinds of restrictions that stop us from being wild because we think, I want to be a wild child too. We want people to be non-wild. Everything wild is dirty.
It's true.
And I think if you look at uncivilized, definitely, because civilization came with agriculture.
Right.
That's what changed us from being just normal human beings and being in small groups to larger groups, because all of a sudden we had a control, because when we made the switch to agriculture, now you could lock up the food. Now somebody was in charge of the food. And you had to guard it, and now you could travel with it. So that means that if you have a large group of people wanting to conquer other people, but that's still the case. We just don't look at it that way. We have to go to the grocery store to find the food.
Yeah.
We have to buy this kind of food because we're brainwashed into that type of food. And you can see where it's gotten us, and I think it's beyond the food, of course, now, because we're also trapped in these ideology. I mean, that's, if you look at all the wars and everything that we're having going on, and there's certainly a lot of them now, it's all because of these ideologies that people say this is how we're supposed to live. You have to worship this person, or these borders are mine, or this food, or this oil. Food is just an extension of these things that we're using, like the oil for energy and things like that. If you really wanted to make the Middle East irrelevant, stop using the oil. Then all of a sudden, no problem over there, and they're probably not going to come over here. So, going back into a wild environment and start walking again would be a big boom for civilization, in a sense, not so much for the money makers.
Stop using
But in a
money.
wild environment, you don't need money because we get our own food. You do your own gathering. You protect each other. You don't have some authority doing it for you. And that's really what domestication does. So that's
I think this is all kind of a wild idea.
I do too. That's for sure, yeah. Thanks for sticking around, folks. The number here is 877-927-6648. Welcome to join the conversation. Please take time to look at the Health Signals newsletter. That's when you'll find more information. And Paige and I will be right back.
You've heard Nico de Haan as co-host of Living a Primal Lifestyle, which airs every Friday at noon Eastern Time on TFNN, and would like to tell you about the personal training studio that Nico is the owner and president of, Performance Training. Since 1998, Nico has trained individuals and groups to improve their health both mentally and physically. As a certified personal trainer, Nico's main focus is on demonstrating exercises correctly to avoid injury and teaching his clients how to manage their past injuries while getting the most out of their personal training sessions. The Performance Training Studio is filled with unique training equipment that enhances balanced results at a faster rate while minimizing damage and discomfort. For more information, you can give Nico a call at 727-418-8740 or email him at nico@tfnn.com. Let him know you heard him on TFNN and save up to $100 on a special package just for TFNN listeners. Act today.
Wouldn't it be great if you could get a red light, green light indicator that gives you signals on 25 different future contracts? Now you can with Taz Signal Box. This red light, green light market profile system dynamically updates 24 hours a day and provides you with important trend and trade signals on 9 different commodities, 9 different indices, and 8 different currencies. Right now, you can receive a free 2-week trial to Taz Signal Box. For all the details and to find out how the Signal Box works, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Andy Heck's powerful weekly newsletter, the Technomental Commodity Report, has delivered multiple triple-digit winning trades in recent months. And right now's the perfect time to get a full month-long trial to Andy's newsletter with no obligation to pay anything. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Technomental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you'll lock in the low rate of only $59 a month. Sign up right now for the Technomental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
You take a hands-on approach to managing your investments, and whether you're bullish or bearish on Chinese stocks, the ETFs from Direction Shares are there to help you magnify your perspective. Bull ETFs for a rising market and bear ETFs for a falling market. Direction Shares gives you the tools for both sides of the trade. Discover how we can help at DirectionShares.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction Shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction Shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction Shares at 800-851-0511. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors employing dynamic strategies. Investors in the fund should understand the consequences of seeking daily investment results, understand the risk of shorting, and intend to actively monitor and manage their investments. Distributor Foresight Fund Services, LLC.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen, live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den, absolutely free, for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. Nico and Page take your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
Welcome back, everybody. We are talking about living wild and going wild.
My
and
favorite
being wild.
subject.
And we found a beautiful website, the Living Wild Project, Grow, Eat, Live Wild. And what I really like about it is there's a real simple menu bar
Yes,
of the
livingwild.org.
Livingwild.org. And then they have for example, they've got some a seasonal toolbar, and then they feature some seasonal herbs, plants, and then give you some recipes about how to use them.
Yeah, and there's some videos on here. This is really cool, where to purchase the ingredients, first of all. So it's kind of a site where you can go through and really do this stuff, too. And then they have these links that you can go to, the science behind it, the culture behind it, and the garden, and things flash up on here.
Yeah, for example, I just clicked on, summer, and I went to what came up was the Bay Laurel family. Okay. And, it talked about both the all seasons, the fruit for the fall, purple, brown in color when it's ripe. But then afterwards, gave you a little description about the plant, and then it gave you a recipe, bay nut chocolate clusters. Collect the California bay nuts in the fall, and some dark chocolate, and there you go. So I think that's cool. I like the feel of this kind of a website. I feel like it's giving us an idea of.
I like the pictures on it because they really show what the plants look like, and they all look really cool. I mean, it's something that you could definitely eat. I can see that. And these are just wild plants. I think we're really missing the boat with our food because, you know that I don't eat a lot of vegetables. It's mostly herbs and spices that I add to my meal by adding it to the meats themselves.
Well,
then putting them in soups and things like that. So.
And being conscious that there's powerful healing benefits in plants. That's why I love aromatherapy so much.
Yes,
because
and there's very little that you need, and that's really another aspect of it that keeps my carbohydrate level down to where I want it, below 25%. I feel like I function much better mentally and physically at that level.
And I eat a little more greens than you do, but I have the times, and I do believe that the animals are the concentrators, and they break down those minerals and fat-soluble vitamins, and they come packaged with their animal fat. So I'm like you. I really like getting what I call nutrient-dense foods, and the most nutrient-dense foods, folks, are not fruits and vegetables. They're wonderful, don't get me wrong. They have great phytochemicals. I love them, but the most nutrient-dense foods, by definition of the word,
I think modern vegetables aren't that
properly raised animal foods.
Yeah, they're not really packed with the stuff we need. You really need the very tops of the leaves, the herbal part of it, and those things are so domesticated.
But I love healthy, smoothies or blended drinks, not to overly heat. Because I like getting into the cellulose fiber and finding the phytochemicals and being able to digest them, because I think that we actually have just a hard time digesting fruits and vegetables.
We certainly
do. The cellulose
do.
fiber is the...
Say take rice. I mean, rice is, especially in its original form, a very hard to digest food. You really have to cook it a lot, whereas wild rice is considered more of an herb. And the seeds are completely different in them, and those are considered packed full of things, and still, because they're still the same plant. But the brown rice, the white rice, all these other different types of rice have been processed over thousands of years and are different than the wild cousins that they sort of represent. So corn is one other one that we had the picture of in your
this is another article. Maybe we just hit on this a little bit. The breeding the nutrition out of our food, and this is exactly what we've been talking about, folks, is when we are in a wild environment, our foods come packaged with all the nutritional things that we need, and as we have created domestication, we have eliminated the nutrition that's in the food. And this kind of, the Greek physician Hippocrates proclaimed nearly 2,500 years ago, "Let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food." And most of us in natural health concur with that. We want that to be the case. We just got to make sure we're getting the food
and this article really
that has medicine in it, because it hasn't been bred out, because it's not wild anymore.
So it goes into talking about what the Native Americans did, and specifically in California, and how a lot of the foods were really bred in such a way that they look completely different. One of the examples they gave, of course, is the corn right on top here, and how the corn was really not even a stalk. I mean, they had just a few seeds on these little buds, and they were all different colors, and they were very hard. You almost had to use a hammer to open up the kernel.
So in other words, what you're saying is if we were Native American Indians 200-300 years ago, the corn, we would probably not even recognize it.
Well, they were domesticating it about 400 or 500 years ago. So they started domesticating it, I believe, because there was a big weather change in the Midwest of the United States, where there used to be forest lands in a lot of those areas. And I think the weather changed. Maybe the Ice Age did it. It's different now, and they started breeding it because they had to. So,
this is interesting stuff. So we're getting ready to go to a break. Give us a call, join in our conversation, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. Living a Primal Lifestyle. Hope you are too.
Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped, and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
The Path of Least Resistance is David White's daily trading newsletter, and if you're looking for active trading ideas, then now's a perfect time for a 30-day free trial to this powerful daily trading advisory service. David uses his years of trading experience to offer his subscribers his trading ideas each morning in his Path of Least Resistance newsletter. Using a combination of equity trades along with options, David keeps his subscribers up to date with all pertinent market information with intraday afternoon updates when warranted. Don't miss out on this great chance to get a 30-day free trial to David's daily newsletter, The Path of Least Resistance, with no obligation to pay anything. David has been delivering solid recommendations for his subscribers recently, and if you'd like to see the type of newsletter he delivers every morning, then visit the front page of TFNN, and you'll find The Path of Least Resistance under Trading Newsletters. For all the details and to start your 30-day free trial today, log on to TFNN.com now.
No matter where you listen to TFNN programming, we want you to know you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones and iPads, located at the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV, but if you don't have a mobile connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all of our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and radio call and talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com, educating investors. This segment is brought to you by BackTech Environmental. For more information, just click the BackTech banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Welcome back, folks. Nico and Page here on Living a Primal Lifestyle. We're talking about domestication, about being wild, and in the chat room they're talking about broccoli. And, I really don't, broccoli is kind of like the plant that everything else morphed into, because if you're looking at cauliflower, if you're looking at kale, looking at a lot of the lettuces, looking at even sweet peas, I think all of them are related to that one plant, broccoli. We need to really, if we want to go into the, and accept this, that the wild is better, then we need to go into something like asparagus, which is much closer to its wild cousin than it is to a domesticated plant. But, there are so many things that we're reading about that the original form of the food was probably good, like that little potato in Peru.
Right, yeah, we were reading about, the purple potato in Peru, just 32 times the antioxidants that make it powerful than a typical russet potato. The question is, were the people who foraged for wild foods healthier than we are today? There is some evidence that they didn't live as long, and I think that's more a play of the wild environment they lived in.
First of all, what happened is the infants' mortality rate was much higher, and probably maybe 50 or 60% of the children didn't reach adulthood. Okay, so there's half of it gone right there. And then, of course, there's accidents and predators and things like that.
But we think it's more accident or just...
No, we're thinking more...
But not nutrition.
No, it's not nutrition. It's actually the death rate of the infants.
And they were more likely to die from degenerative diseases, even the minority who lived to be 70 years. So see, what we've got going on is we are living longer, but we're living sicker.
No doubt about it.
And so the question is, wow, why not try and maximize this, folks? We've eliminated the threat to early death by sanitation and those kind of things, and infectious disease control.
See, we want to do this individually. All of us have a passion to do this individually. That's why you and I are talking here, okay? Because individually we have a passion for it. Remember that in our society now we are controlled by other groups of people. People who control the food, the people who control the way we live, the people who control our housing, how the structures of our cities are, and how we put people in jail, and how we go to war and support all this big thing. This is what's controlling us. If we want to be healthy individually, we have to look through that. If you look on the board here, I've got the little
government censorship, protecting you from reality.
And I'm thinking that the reality is the wild that we're talking about, and the censorship is domesticating us.
I think it even gets more crazy than that.
Well, there are crazier ways of going. There's no doubt about it. But this is the basics. And I think if we want to break free, my contention has always been we do that with the food first and some of our activities.
And that's why if we could all go back to, like you said, living a more wild life, looking for seasonal foods.
Well, looking at ways of doing it now, because we can never go back to the way it was, right? We've established that. So now we have to look at it in a whole different light. What can we gain from having this knowledge of knowing that the wild plants are going to be healthier? Find people who are delivering those to us. It's going to be harder, folks. You have to do your research, but that's what we encourage here. You're not going to make a change until you've bought into it. Hook, line, and sinker.
Right, and kind of goes back to the ancient ancestors. Anthropologists agree that they mostly died from injury and infection, and we kind of controlled that. It was not nutrition. Now what we're doing, it's the opposite. We've controlled injury and infection, but now people are dying from degeneration, which is a result of nutrient loss. And I'm reading this. Each fruit and vegetable in our stores has a unique history of nutrient loss. But there's two common themes. Throughout the ages, our farming ancestors have chosen the least bitter plants to grow in the garden. So, we got all these. It is now known that many of the most beneficial phytonutrients have a bitter, sour, or astringent taste. You know how I told you I like people to do a super smoothie and a terrific tonic?
Right.
That tonic is my way of trying to get the bitter and sour taste in. Second, early farmers favored plants that were relatively low in fiber and high in starch and oil, And these energy-dense plants were pleasurable to eat and provided the calories needed to fuel a strenuous lifestyle. But more palatable our fruits and vegetables became, the less advantageous they were to our health.
Yeah, and also there was many methods of making these plants different just for convenience of growing them and harvesting them.
Yep.
Certainly corn. I mean, why would you pick a stalk that has only 3 seeds on it, the one that has 20? You're going to breed the one that's 20. It makes sense in a situation where you don't want to work as hard.
Right.
But remember that farming is a lot harder than picking wild things. It's just that we run out of the wild things because overpopulation, because of certain controls. In a wild environment, we probably would be still at 100 million people in the world, maybe. Because there's no reason for us to breed like crazy. There's only reasons when you're a farmer, because now you need hands. Now you need help, because it's a 60, 80-hour week of really hard work, whereas a hunter-gatherer has a leisurely life. In fact, when we came over to America and saw how leisurely the Indians were, we thought lazy bums. Those damn lazy Indians,
That's so crazy. I'm sitting here reading this little, it's talking about the transition of corn and how we mentioned corn looked completely different and has gone through, and the Indians actually were part of the kind of domestication of changing the corn to more the sweet corn that we know today. It says when European colonists first arrived in North America, they came upon what they called Indian corn. And in the mid-1600s, they observed that the Americans grew corn with great variety of colors, citing red, yellow, blue, olive color, and greenish, and some very black and some intermediary degrees. And then a few centuries later, we learned that these red, black, and blue corns are rich in anthocyanins.
Well, the colors tell you.
Well, yeah, the doctrine of signatures of colors.
Exactly.
The more red, the more purple, the more blue. Super antioxidant potential.
Yeah.
And anthocyanins have the potential to fight cancer, calm inflammation, lower cholesterol and blood pressure, protecting the aging brain and reducing the risk of obesity, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease. And, you know, I love trying to put the pieces together. Remember
Yes.
when we were on the show? And I was telling you about that article I stumbled on from one of my heroes, Stephanie Senoff at MIT.
Mm-hmm.
And she's talking about sulfur. Remember, sulfur from the sun, cholesterol sulfate that we make from getting sun. That's why we need vitamin D, because we need the cholesterol sulfate. We need the sulfur. We don't have sulfur because it's some trace mineral missing in the soil. And she made a comment, and it just tied things together for me. The reason we need the purple-red type of antioxidants is they are great carriers of sulfur into the cell. Protection, so they're antioxidants, they kind of scavenge free radicals, but they actually help the sulfur get in the cell. And that's why I think, it was like one of those aha moments, how important it really is.
Yeah. And that's why we picked the humic and fulvic acids, has that same base to it to give the signals in the cells. And we should tell the people that we've got an update. We had some ingredients missing in the formula. I didn't really catch it. I was looking at it, and it was a little bit hard to read. And Paige says, "Oh, this is missing, and this is we got to get this straightened out," which we did. And thank goodness the chemist that we're working with is totally in agreement with what we're doing. And she says we've got just the dynamite formula here, and the label's reapproved now. And they're going to print it next week.
And I hope we'll be able to
September 1st, we're going to be on track here to bring this great product to you, and we'll start breaking down in the next couple of weeks exactly why this is an important step for everybody really living in the modern world.
So living wild, is particularly our ancestors, they had access to superfood nutrition that came from the soil. They had a soil that wasn't spoiled. The soil wasn't spoiled.
Right.
And that's what we're trying to recreate. And I'm really going to make it a part of my general health protocol. The people that come to see me, I'm coaching them on how they can stay well and helping them with empowerment information that enables them to do. And I really find that people, when they're something as easy as this to do, to make sure you're getting your essential nutrients in terms of vitamins, minerals, amino acids, essential fatty acids, etc., really closing that gap, knowing that we just don't have it in the food. I'm very excited that we've got something.
Well, it's such an important step. I mean, there's obviously the soil is depleted. We're not getting the same nutrients in the food that we normally got. So you do have to supplement if you want to be in prime condition.
And you know what? I did a lot of kind of some research on one of the main driver. The driver in this product is what we call the fulvic humic, the miracle molecules of fulvic and humic. And when you actually go and look at the scientific literature, it's really phenomenal, the power of this. And I'm going to tell you that the reason I think that if you're not getting a supplement that is powered by this miracle molecule, you got to understand, guys, we've got an electromagnetic soup that is not beneficial. Remember, the Earth, we are electromagnetic beings. The Earth is an electromagnetic being. It's the electricity from the sky,
the sun,
and the sun, and the magnetism from the Earth. So what we know is that these ingredients that we were so adamant that we wanted to have in our formula help increase what we call zeta potential. So let me explain to you what that is. What we notice is that people today oftentimes have rouleau blood, clumping of the blood cells, because they're bombarded with chaotic electric. And so, this could be a lot of the reasons for the stress, the pain, the cells not being... Obviously, cells that are all clumped up don't have the full surface capability of their cell membranes, which is really the brain, the brain, telling the DNA, saying to the DNA, I need this, I need that. And so if they can't see, they might pull the wrong book off the shelf. And you don't want to pull the wrong book off the DNA shelf. You want the right one. So we feel like this is just powerful information. I just like to simply say, it helps get the good stuff in and the bad stuff out.
Because it is a revolving door. You have to have both. You can't just shove stuff in there and not have the cleansing part of it. There has to be the in and out of the cell membrane. Just think of the amoeba pulsating and getting stuff into it and then throwing the stuff out.
Well, you know how I like to paint the picture?
Yes.
When you just said that?
Yeah.
You know how the cell membrane, and I like to spell it misspell it, B-R-A-I-N,
Right.
has 2 layers. They call it the bilipid membrane. One is structural, and that's why a lot of people that follow our approaches and our ideas that we're sharing are supplementing with nice saturated fats that don't get damaged.
Right.
So they're building good membranes. The inside part of the membrane is what we call the crystalline matrix that vibrates, because it needs a resonance to vibrate and operate properly, so it can let the good stuff in and the bad stuff out.
Correct.
And so literally what Nico said is just spot on, that if we don't get the bad stuff out, that can be a problem too, the detoxification. Because the cells, our body is going to use the materials it needs to make. I mean, we have our immune system has a tremendous sense of survival.
Sure.
And I like to say that I like to work with people that have I ask people, what's your sense of survival? And it's hard for someone to say, I really don't have one. I want to know.
To domesticate it.
Because if you get powerful information of how you can enhance your health, why wouldn't you want to do it? So that fulvicumic really helps us usher in the good things, combined with the proper parent essential oils, or what we call the right oils for building healthy membranes, which is a combination of non-damaged saturated fats and then very select polyunsaturated fats in way of omega-6 and 3 that are not damaged in the right ratios. Yep. I just think we have some great ideas, and if we can have people start doing their part and staying healthy, what else is there?
Yeah.
What else
Think
is
about
there?
it, folks, as the bird in the cage, okay? If you're not getting the proper nutrition and the proper supplements, you're in that cage. But if you want to open the door to all the possibilities of living a clean, wonderful life, you need to open that cage, let the bird out, and the bird is you. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you'll be going from a domesticated being that's trapped somehow by your own idea of what it is, opening the cage up, and now let's let it fly. That'll let your whole spirit and your being buy the food. It starts with the food. Right. Once you open that door and start experiencing how great it can be to eat the proper way and not worry about your weight, not worry about the types of ingredients that you're getting, because you've researched it. And the whole basis for our show here, Paige, is that we want people to educate themselves. You might get an idea from us saying, boy, that sounds good, let me investigate it. And that's the way we want it. We want them to go out and say, hey, check it out.
Come back and talk to us about it.
Yep.
We're learning too. And the whole thing is that education is great, but action is even better.
Exactly.
So that's what I call empowerment, is getting the education and being empowered to do something about it. Yeah. And the evidence is pretty clear, folks, that most of the degenerative diseases that we see have a nutritional deficiency and a toxicity excess.
Yes.
Simple as that.
And it's because we've domesticated, and there's actually, you can go to charts on the internet that show you when diseases actually started, came into being. And you notice from the time it's certain areas on the earth, when agriculture started, there are certain diseases that started to crop up. When we started living in larger cities, other diseases came in there, and pestilence along with that. And down to today, when we started marketing this stupid food called fast food. Exactly. And that made it even worse.
I don't even call it fast food, I call it merchandise. Food-like merchandise.
It's definitely that.
Hey, we got to go to a break, but we'll be right back. See you. Give us a call. Join in our conversation.
877-927-6648.
See you shortly.
Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped, and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
We're told to follow our passion and everything else will fall into place. I hope that's what each of you are doing each and every day. Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Money Master Show at TFNN.com, and my passion for technical analysis is what led me to the most fundamental discovery in pattern recognition, the Rhodes Momentum Indicator, market scanner, and trading strategy, a set of tools that identify the momentum and power of the trend, the likes of which have never been seen before, for every market and every time frame. Yes, folks, the trend is your friend, unless you're on the other side. New to technical analysis? This is the place to start. And experienced traders, take advantage of the trend like never before. Experience the power of the Rhodes Momentum Indicator each day, available to subscribers of my newsletter service, Mastering Probability. I guarantee your satisfaction for the next 30 days unconditionally, so there's no risk to you other than being on the wrong side of the trend. Mastering Probability, available on the homepage of TFNN.com. And folks, live with passion.
Up next, the Diagnostics Trading Hour with Daryl Martin here on TFNN.
Welcome back, folks. Nico and Page here on Living a Primal Lifestyle. You know, we've been talking about domestication and things, and one of the first things that when a baby is born, of course, we want them to be the most healthiest, most precious thing in the world. And we often start them off on the wrong foot because we're not breastfeeding. And I think breastfeeding is one of the most natural ways to bond with the child and the mother, and also feeding them properly. If the mother is eating right, of course, that makes a big difference too. But you know, I've got an article here that says infant formula is genetically engineered. Did you know that virtually every infant formula on the market, both soy or milk-based, is genetically engineered?
How is this not going to affect and alter the expression of the genes of an infant consuming it?
Yeah.
And, you know, so really, folks, if you're not, I think Sarah Pope, chapter leader of the Weston Price Foundation, does some great videos online that show you how to make your own infant formula if for some reason you've chosen not to breastfeed.
Yeah, because the stuff on the shelves is not great, even the ones that are marked organic and that are suspect. But you know, this comes about because, of course, now we're too busy ourselves to take the time to do the most important thing for our child. It's just how crazy how our focus shifts. We're not concerned about the health of our baby as much as their comfort for us.
Well, it kind of goes along with the domestication.
Yeah.
Get the people in, and while you're at it, take away that wild instinct to feed and give them something that produces a profit for industry.
Yeah, and so we educate our mothers that, if you can't breastfeed, an important thing is to bond and see what it feels like. Yeah, of course it's going to be uncomfortable. Everything's uncomfortable. I mean, the first time you have sex a lot of times is uncomfortable. Didn't stop you. So, I mean, there's a lot of great things that we do in life that are uncomfortable. If you're climbing a mountain, it gets uncomfortable in the beginning.
And I think another thing that a lot of people think is, well, my milk just didn't come in. I just don't believe that possibly could happen. It just might take a little longer, and I think people worry, oh, my baby's going to starve. Well, they only need drops of that colostrum for a little bit and putting them to the breast. So I hope everyone will give themselves a little bit of a shot to get over that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so if you know anyone who's has a young baby, have them take a close look at what's involved in the genetic modified ingredients. I mean, the first ingredient on a lot of baby foods is corn syrup solids.
Yes.
So we know the corn.
Even high fructose corn syrup is in a lot of.
Well, that's really what I mean. Yeah. And so this combination of the soy or the milk and the sugars and unnecessary chemicals really.
Well, one thing we know for sure, it's not the beautifully balanced fluid that's coming out of the mother's breast. It's not that.
With all
that
the
is the
antibodies.
best. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, great. We got a call from Jasmine.
From the Bradenton group.
Hey, Jasmine.
Says thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
We were looking at some other articles here, and it was talking a little bit about an international study of electrolytes on the excretion and blood pressure. I thought this was interesting because of what they found with relation to blood pressure. And I really like some of the logic that explains that the research has shown that those who go on a low-salt diet, because their doctors tell them so, it's ineffective.
Everything goes worse.
It gets worse.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that's all the different markers that they use. That's the funny part about the whole thing. And it seems like the doctors are saying, well, it's not because of the low salt that you're having these problems. Now I can treat you for these other things. I mean, that's the little brain behind the whole thing, I think. It's too bad our society is that way, but that's what you get with domestication.
Yeah.
You get people telling you the wrong things. We know salt is good for us. Heck, we put it in the fields for the deer. That's how screwed up our salt is. We need to feed re-educate our deer because they're not smart enough. I mean, it's because we've taken it out of the soil. That's why.
Yeah. So get your minerals, guys. Get them in healthy salt. Get them in your food. Get them in a nutritional product that makes sure.
We'll be back next week. Thanks for sticking around.
Take care.
Bye bye.
Since 1984, Basil Chapman has been using the Chapman Wave methodology to advise traders of his expert market opinion. While originally hand-drawing charts from the late 1970s into the 1980s, Basil noticed that prices under most circumstances virtually always had a certain number of legs to the upside before declining sharply. Later, Basil found that computer software, which included the standard market technical indicators, enhanced the degree of accuracy in calling price turns, as well as market trend calls. Thus was born the Chapman Wave sequence. Using the Chapman Wave methodology along with other indicators, Basil Chapman advises his subscribers of his expert market opinion each market day with his opening call newsletter. Right now, you can get a 2-week free trial to the opening call, Basil's daily trading newsletter, by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Cancel at any time during that trial and pay absolutely nothing. Get your 2-week free trial to Basil's newsletter, The Opening Call, today by visiting TFNN.com.
You're watching Tiger TV.